Hey, Room 3 parents, this is Mr. McCauley. I just wanted to make this little presentation about technology at home for some of my new students who may or may not have some difficulty getting onto their work at home. I just thought to go over some of the what I think is best practices in my experience. So here we go. So, what are our goals for our students or our son and daughter? Is to log into their account. That is, of course, the prime objective here. If we can get them logged into their account in the right spot, then all their work will be ready for them. And if they can do that, then they'll be able to get the information they need. Probably most importantly, they'll be able to complete the work that they've been assigned, and that'll obviously help them to stay organized as well. So let's talk about when they get into their account, because the platform that the TDSB use is it's all Google based. Getting them into the Chrome browser at some point is really important because all the products that we're using are made by Google. Then using the Chrome browser, it will just mean things will work better and there'll be less headaches for everybody. Um, and from the Chrome browser, then we can go to Google Classroom and do all the Google suite of products like Google Docs and things like that. So, again, logging them into their school account gets them hopefully all this goodness. So, in their login typically is their school email address. And of course, then they have a password for that. And I taped or glued that into everyone's agenda. So hopefully they have that in their agenda. And if not, you can always let me know. They can write it out again. What does their email address look like? It's typically first name, last name, and then student.tdsb.owen.ca. If Austin Matthews was in my class, his email address would look something like this. Now, on rare occasions, there are two people in the board with the same name, and if there were two Austin Matthews, then you might end up having a 2 in there. I know some of our students have a 2 in their email address. So now that we have this idea of we need to kind of log in, let's move over to which device at home can we do this on? Well, of course, there is the Chromebook. The Chromebook is a laptop, runs on the Chrome browser. It's got all the Chrome goodness kind of baked into it. And of course, there's going to be a lot of people have a Mac or a PC. I can use the Mac right now. And some students may also have an iPad at home. Now, an iPad is kind of good, I find, for referencing material. It's not nearly as good for producing material. So if they're using solely an iPad at home, there's going to be some times when they won't be able to get their work done. So it's not something that I would necessarily recommend as a primary device. Any of the other devices typically work a little bit better. So again, the advantages of a Chromebook, it's relatively inexpensive. It's not lost on me that nothing is totally inexpensive, but it's relatively inexpensive. It's got the Chrome browser baked into it so that once we log in, all our stuff is there. And again, once you log in with your school credentials at the very beginning, all the apps that we use at school should sync over. And in the bottom tray, you'll end up with a whole bunch of apps that we could potentially use at school. Now, let's talk about a Mac or a PC. One thing I would recommend is if your son or daughter is using a Mac or a PC, that you get them their own login on the actual computer. So on a Mac, it might look something like this, and on a Windows machine, it might look something like that. That way, all of their stuff is in their login. They're not getting it mixed up with your stuff, and they're not getting it mixed up with their sibling stuff. So if that's possible, that would be awesome. And again, download the Chrome browser so that you can use the Chrome browser to access school stuff. And I mentioned why before. There's a lot of logging in going on here. One thing I would recommend when they do download the Chrome browser is they actually log into the browser. And when you log into the browser by clicking on that little picture of a little guy up there, you will, again, all of their stuff from school will come, and all the bookmarks they've made at school will just naturally flow down there. And in order to do that, again, click on the little guy, then turn on sync, and again, one more time, log in with your school credentials. There's a little bit of work going on here the first time we do this and getting it all set up. So if you have time to sit down with your son or daughter to have them go through that, that will really be helpful. Once I'm in the Chrome browser, then I have this kind of, you can see this is what it looks like on my computer. And those little dots there, once I click on that, I get all these kind of apps that I might use. If I want to go to Google Classroom, boom, there I go. If I want to get a file off my drive, it's there, etc., etc. So that is kind of an advantage. Here is another way that you can get to all of your stuff once you've using your device. There is a website that the board uses, and it's called aw.tdsb.on.ca. AW stands for Academic Workspace. It used to be a little more important than it is now, but the one good thing is when you go there and you log in, again, with your credentials, with your school credentials, there will be a tab there that talks about Google Workspace. And from there, you'll be able to get to Google Classroom, where we post all our stuff. If you want to make something or pick up a file, you could go to your Google Drive. And yeah, so there's Classroom, and there's a link to all the Drive. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. A lot of logging in there, but hopefully this answered some questions about tech at home. Please email me if you have any other questions. I'm happy to help. But getting this set up early in the year will have huge dividends by the end. I hope that makes sense. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.